Hello students, now we will start with the second topic, that is principles of management. And as you all must be knowing, or you might not be knowing, but I'm here to tell you that there are basically 14 principles of management, and these principles are propounded by Henry Fayol. He gave 14 principles of management that made us very easy to understand what management is all about and what are those principles on which management is based or should be based in a particular organization. Now we'll start with the introduction for this topic. In the last century, organizations already had to deal with management in practice. In the early 1900s, large organizations such as production factories had to be managed too. At the time, there were only few management tools, models, and methods available. And it is, we should thankful to Mr. Henry Fayol that he laid down the very first foundation of modern scientific management. First concepts, also called principles, these first concepts, also called principles, are the underlying factors for successful management. He explored and he synthesized these 14 principles of management, what we are going to study now. And these principles are published in his book, that is General and Industrial Management, that was published in 1916. So basically, this is why the need arose, why there was the need felt by all that we should have certain principles of management. And it is because there was no, or even we'll say that there is no company, there is no organization, there is no factor in our lives that could be left unmanaged. And because management is a universal process, management is a universal approach, it needs certain principles that needs to be followed to manage your things in a proper manner. It is, these principles have generalized the management process. After following, now everyone knows what should be done and what should not be done. Therefore, he gave these 14 principles to streamline the process of management for each and every organization is working, that was working, or that is going to work. In a nutshell, the various principles of management are: the very first is division of work, the second principle is authority and responsibility, third is discipline, fourth is unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest, remuneration, degree of centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of tenure, initiative, and esprit de corps. Now we'll discuss all these principles one by one in detail, but make sure that you remember these 14 principles every time. Even you are running an organization or you are the part of an organization, if you are an employer, if you are an employee, in either ways, in either case, you should keep in your mind these basic 14 principles of management. Now we'll start with the detail. The very first principle is division of work. Division of work. Work should be divided among individuals and groups to ensure that effort and attention are focused on special portions of the task. Fayol presented work specialization as the best way to use the human resources of the organization. Work should be divided among individuals and groups to ensure that the effort and attention are focused on special portions of the task. Fayol presented work specialization as the best way to use the human resources of the organization. Now, why it is necessary? Like, if you are doing the division of your work, then in your company, in your organization, it will produce more and better work with the same effort. Like, you have given some work to a single person, you may have the work done, he will do it for you, but you may not get that much of productivity or the result, better result, I'll say. So what the thing is, you should divide that work equally in other members also, so that you will have more efficiency, more productivity out of all of them. Various functions of management like planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling cannot be performed efficiently by a single person. Like we have discussed these functions of management in our early hours. So what basic five functions we have studied? Expect a single person to plan, to coordinate, to control, to organize, to direct. It is you may and you should have different persons for the different functions. Who is expert in the one function may not be having expertise in the other function. In that case, it is good if you see that who all are persons you have in your organization and who is going to work efficiently for you, and you should divide the work equally in all of them. They must be interested to specialists in related fields. Now you should see that what all specialists do you have and what type of work you can get transferred or you can allocate to different peoples in your organization. So this is the very first principle, is division of work. Work should be divided among individuals and groups to ensure that effort and attention both are focused on special portions of the task. The second principle is authority and responsibility. The of authority and responsibility are closely related. Authority was defined by Fayol as the right to give orders and the power to exact obedience. And responsibility involves being accountable and is therefore naturally associated with authority. Whoever assumes authority also assumes responsibility. This means that, and you might have seen also that whenever you find a person responsible, then you'll see that he or she is having some sort of authority to achieve or to fulfill that responsibility. And in the other case, or vice versa, if a person is having authority, if he is holding authority, then he must be, or he will be, and he shall be responsible for some of the work or other types of the work. It is, you cannot expect a person to hold authority without responsibility, and you cannot make a person responsible without giving him some authority. Both the things are very important, and there should be both the things, we should be there. Okay, now we'll move on to the third principle. The third principle is discipline. Now, what is discipline? A successful organization requires the common effort of workers. A successful organization requires the common effort of workers, and penalties should be applied judiciously to encourage this common effort. Discipline is absolutely what? It is absolutely essential for smooth running of business. By discipline, we mean the obedience to authority, observance of the rules of service, and norms of performance. It also means respect for agreement, sincere efforts for completing the given job, respect for superiors, or many other ways are there to maintain discipline, or what shows what discipline is. The best thing, what I feel or what I could suggest is, to maintain discipline, there should be good supervisors at all the levels. There should be some clear and fair agreements between the employees and the employer. Like there shouldn't be something hidden between the employer and the employee. What employer wants and what employee wants as well should be very clear between the two. And in what discipline is what leaders make it. Like what, for example, if I am the employer and you are the employee in an organization, so how I would expect discipline out of you? It is, how would I instruct you? How would I deal you? What I am asking you to do, how I'm asking you to do. A leader, the manager, he himself or she herself will decide how to maintain the discipline in the organization. And towards her effort, her employees, her juniors, her subordinates, or his employees, juniors, and subordinates shall contribute, and together as a group, together as a team, they will contribute discipline. And until and unless you have discipline in the organization, you cannot manage anything in that particular organization. So, therefore, discipline is the third principle of. Now comes the fourth principle, that is unity of command. What is unity of command? Workers should receive orders from only one manager. Like, you should have only one boss, because if you will have number of bosses, you will have number of commands, you will have number of instructions, and enough to whom to listen and whom to not, what instructions to be followed and what to not. So in such case, if you have a unity of command, if you have only one boss whom you should follow, to listen to him and to follow his or her instructions. But in the case where there are many bosses, the employees get confused and the productivity gets down. This principle requires that each employee should receive instructions about a particular work from one superior only. I have used the word particular work because, like we said, like we discussed earlier, you will not find a person expert in all the fields. You may find a person expert in one particular field. So in that case, in that ways, it is you should have your command for a particular work from a particular boss. Maybe for some other work, you may have some other boss, you'll have some other instructions, but for a particular type of work, for a particular point of time, you should have the command from one particular boss. That if an employee was to report to more than one superior, he would be confused due to conflict in instructions, and also it would be difficult to pinpoint responsibility to him. Therefore, there should be always unity of command. Now, after unity of command comes the principle number 5, that is unity of direction. The entire organization should be moving towards a common objective in a common direction. We all being a part of the organization, I want money, you want progress, the other person wants some personal satisfaction, or I'll say he has some other goals from the organization. So will we progress as the organization as a whole? Will we progress? No. It is we all need to work in a particular direction. There should be complete identity between individual and organizational goals and between the departmental goals. They should not pull in different directions. It shouldn't be like that my department is working for some other goal and my organization is working for some other goal. And my department or my organization is working for some other goal. It should be that we all are working in one direction, in a unity of direction, in a particular direction to achieve the particular goal. And our department or me, myself, may work as to achieve the sub goal of that particular major goal. And if it is done in the proper manner, you will achieve your results in the well-defined manner, in the well-defined time. And you will be easily managing all the things. So there is unity of direction. The sixth principle is subordination of individual interest to the general interest. The interest of one person should not take priority over the interest of the organization as a whole. Many business concerns, an individual is always interested in maximizing his own satisfaction through more money, recognition, status, or it's any other thing you can say. But this is not how you are going to contribute to your organization. This is very often against the general interest, which lies in maximizing production. Therefore, the need is to subordinate your individual interest to the general interest. Being the part of an organization, your very first priority should be contributing towards the organizational interest, and your personal interest should be subsidized, should be subsided, should be subordinated. It should be secondary in your life. In personal life, it may be primary, but in your professional life, it should be secondary. In your professional life, your organizational goal should be your primary goal. Seventh principle is remuneration. Many variables such as cost of living, supply of qualified personnel, general business conditions, and success of the business should be considered in determining a worker's rate of pay. What is remuneration? What you are working for. The remuneration paid to the personnel or to the staff should be fair. It should be based on general business conditions, cost of living, productivity of the concerned employees, and the capacity of the firm to pay. Fair remuneration increases workers' efficiency and morale and fosters good relation between them and the management. If you are paying good to your organization, you'll see like everyone is working for some sort of remuneration. And if you are paying them fair remuneration, if you are paying them fairly, you'll see how motivated, how happy your staff is, and how good they would contribute towards your growth, towards the achievement of your organizational objectives. But if in any case this remuneration is not fair, you'll see that your staff is not happy, they are not contributing towards the growth. The eighth principle is centralization. Fayol defined centralization as lowering the importance of the subordinate role. Decentralization is increasing the importance. The degree to which centralization or decentralization should be adopted depends on the specific organization in which the manager is working. Centralization is basically what? Like if your subordinates are given more role and more importance in the management and organization, it is decentralization. The management should decide the degree of centralization or decentralization of authority on the basis of the nature of circumstances, size of the undertaking, the types of activities, the nature of the organization structure. And the objective is to pursue should the optimum utilization of all faculties of the organization. Now, why this centralization is required and why is it different from, how is it different from these? Depending on the size of the organization, depending on the intensity of the work, depending on the seriousness of the objective, a company should see how much to centralize and how much to decentralize. Who should hold the authority? Shall authority be decentralized or it should be centralized? It varies. You cannot generalize this concept. But it is principle, like on the basis of your organization, depending on its size, its nature, its work, its seriousness, its intensity, its objectives, the management should see that whether the work should be centralized or not. Therefore, what we are saying, eighth principle is centralization. Now we'll come on the ninth principle, that is scalar chain. What is scalar chain? Managers in hierarchies are part of a chain like authority scale. Each manager from the first line supervisor to the president possesses certain amounts of authority. The president possesses the most authority. The first line supervisor the least. Lower level managers should always keep upper level managers informed of their work activities. The existence of a scalar chain and adherence to it are necessary if the organization is to be successful. If you want to be the successful organization, then you should follow this scalar chain. It means that hierarchy of authority from the highest executive to the lowest one for the purpose of communication. Also, we can say that superior subordinate relationship and the authority of superiors in relation to subordinates at various levels. That is scalar chain. What this principle says is the orders and communication should pass through the proper channels of authority. But in case there is need for swift action, the proper channels of authority may be short circulated by making direct contact with the concerned authority. And this is exceptional. Every time you are not, or you are not supposed to contact your super seniors, it is you should follow the channel, you should follow the hierarchy, and vice versa. Your top management shouldn't reach out the lower level employees at a random call. They should reach out them through the proper hierarchy, through the proper chain, through the proper channel. And if it is followed properly, then you will be, or you could work as the successful organization. But if somewhat you are missing the scalar chain, you are not following the hierarchy in your organization, then you will be facing many problems. You may not work towards the growth of your organization. Like, see that your lower level employees are coming up to the top management and discussing their problems, their grievances, and blah blah, and vice versa. So it is always decided, it is always recommended to follow a skeleton. Like in our families also, if you see that we are always advised, we are also always instructed to, follow the chain. Like child goes to their mother, then mother talks to the husband or the father of the children about the problem. It is, in many cases, it is advisable that you go through the proper channel, because in that case, the person who is in the between lower level and the top level may explain the problem in a better way than the person who is explaining it in from the lower level. And in either case, if from the top management also, if some instruction is to be passed to the lower level, then you'll say that it is passed in a proper way by the middle management. It is not advisable that top management goes and speaks to lower management at the single point. The 10th principle is order. For the sake of efficiency and coordination, all materials and people related to a specific kind of work should be treated as equally as possible. To put things in an order needs effort. Disorder does not need any effort. It evolves by itself. You do not need to put some effort. You do not require anything to make, things unorganized. By default, by your actions, they'll become unorganized. It is you need to make some efforts to make the things organized, to keep them in order. Management should obtain orderliness in work through suitable organizations of men and materials. The principle of right place for everything and for every man should be observed by the management. To observe this principle, there is need for scientific selection of competent personnel, correct assignment of duties to personnel, and good organization. Everything needs to be in order, a specific order. And if you are following that order, if you are maintaining that order in your organization, you will flourish. The 11th principle is equity. As you can see this figure, what equity is all about. Equity is treating everyone equally as possible. As equally as possible. It is fair treatment, equal treatment. And it could result from a combination of kindness and justice. What your employees expect out of you? Employees expect management to be equally just to everyone, everybody in the organization. No one likes biasness. How the organization is treating the one employee should treat the other employee. It shouldn't be that one is given more advantage and the other one is given less advantage. And for this, our manager requires to be free from all prejudices, personal likes or dislikes. Equity ensures healthy industrial relations between management and labor, which is essential for the successful working of the enterprise. If you are having fair staff, if you are having fair employers, if you are having fair managers, the subordinates, the juniors of those particular employers, managers would be more than happy, because they all are being treated equally. And this is what every employee wants out of the organization. Other principle is stability of tenure and personnel. Retaining productive employees should always be a high priority of management. Recruitment and selection cost, as well as increased product reject rates, are usually associated with hiring new workers. Now, why do you need this stability? Or why is it treated as the principle of management? See, when you have people in your organization, when you have your staff working with you, and they are not feeling secure, they are not feeling stable in terms of their tenure, they will not put in their efforts they could have put if they will feel that they are secure in the organization, their job is secure in the organization, their tenure is secure in the organization, or even we can say that their tenure is stable in the organization. In order to motivate workers to do more and better work, it is necessary that they should be assured security of job by the management. If they have fear of insecurity of job, their morale will be low and they cannot give more and better work. Also, they will not have any sense of attachment to the firm and they will always be on the lookout for a job elsewhere. And in order to retain your good staff, your good personnel, your competent personnel, you should develop a feeling of stability of job security among your employees. Third, or we can say the second last principle is initiative. Management should take steps to encourage worker initiative, which is defined as new or additional work activity undertaken through self-direction. Initiative means freedom to think out and execute a plan. The zeal and energy of employees are augmented by initiative. You'll see that what you have instructed, what you have directed your staff to do, they are doing it, but they may not be happy because it is they feel that they have better ideas. They are good at something what your organization is not thinking of. They could provide you with some initiative, with innovative ideas that you can grow, you can prosper. That case, in such cases, initiative should be given preference. If someone is willing to give you some new ideas, if someone is willing to contribute towards your organization in some new manner, let him or her come forward. Let them come and suggest, let them come and take initiative and do as they want if they are working towards the organizational objective. According to Fayol, initiative is one of the keenest satisfactions for an intelligent man to experience, and therefore he advised managers to give their employees sufficient scope to show their initiative. Employees should be encouraged to make all kinds of suggestions, to conceive and carry out their plans, even when some make mistakes. Because like we have heard many times, we have seen many times that it is not always if you'll start, you'll grow. Many times you may fail, but you'll learn out of your failures. Let your staff come forward and give you some new ideas. Let them take some initiative if they are willing to. Don't suppress don't suppress the willingness of your employees to do something new. If they want, welcome them, encourage them, motivate them, let them initiate. The 14th and the last principle is esprit de corps, and it says management should encourage harmony and general good feelings among employees. This means team spirit. Basically, esprit de corps means team spirit. And since we all know that union is strength, the management should create team spirit among the employees. Only when all the personnel pull together as a team, there is scope for realizing the objectives of the concern. Harmony and unity among the staff are a great source of strength to be undertaking. In this field, suggested basically two things. One, the motto of divide and rule should be avoided because that is never, it wasn't treated as, it is not, and it will never be treated as a good principle. Divide and rule is the very bad policy, negative policy, I'll say. So Henry Fayol suggested to avoid this thing. And second, what he said is, verbal communication should be used for improving misunderstandings, for removing misunderstandings. Differences grow more bitter when cleared through written communication. Whenever you are having some misunderstanding with anyone in the organization, better go and talk, better go and have a word. Because according to Fayol, written communication increases misunderstandings and oral communication reduces it. So what Esprit de Corps is? Esprit de Corps is basically that are you are working together, and it is you should remain in a line, as union is strength, or we can say that team spirit. If you are working in a team, there should be the team spirit with you, and then you'll be able to do in better way. So these are the 14 principles. Now we'll see what are the importance of the principles. Having a clear management structure in place is vital for any successful organization, because it is having a clear management structure in place is vital for any successful organization. If you are not having a clear management structure, then it is you cannot expect a proper growth. You need it. Efficient and well-intentioned management sets the tone for the rest of the staff. It is common for the attitude approach of the managers to filter through the entire organization. So having managers working in an exemplary way is an excellent example of employees to follow. And if you'll follow all these 14 principles, then you'll see that how prosper your organization is going to be, how flourish you are going to do. You'll very efficiently you'll manage things, and you'll increase the productivity also in your organization, provided that you see that you are following all these 14 principles. These are the foundation stones for a organization to be a good organization, or you can say to manage anything in the organization. And even in your lives too, you'll see many things are there. These 14 principles of management can be used to manage organizations and are useful tools for forecasting, planning, process management, organization management, decision making, coordination, and control. Right? These 14 principles are going to help you out to achieve all the 5 functions in the very efficient way. Although they are obvious, many of these matters are still used based on common sense in current management practices in organization. It remains a practical list with focus areas that are based on Henry Fayol's research, which still applies today due to a number of logical principles. So this is all about the 14 principles of management that were laid down by Henry Fayol. I will suggest you to go through these slides once again to find out more on other resources and to remember these 14 principles throughout your life.